All right, guys, Fulu coming to you with another video. I hope all is well. Today is Thursday. Just got done with the gym, just got done working. I need to improve. I'm never satisfied with my things. I always feel like, hey, there's something else I need to do. I'm always like that. I always have that feeling of myself. I always like have that about myself when it comes to this sport. But anyhow, I want to talk about the sport. For those of you guys who don't know, and I'm pretty sure most people know this already, that when it comes to the boxing, I have a certain niche in which I fit in. And my niche is for fighters who pretty much have the whole package, meaning that they do a lot of things very well, and then they do some things good, not necessarily exceptional. So fighters who fall into that are Demetrius Andrade, fighters like Devin Haney, fighters like Richardson Hitchens, fighters like Jaron Ennis, fighters like Erickson Lubin, and the fighter I'm going to talk about, who is, of course, a Negro League fighter, David Morrell. Now, Asvari David Morrell Jr. is, we saw what he did to Alantas Fox in the last fight. And, of course, the critics will say, well, Alantas Fox got knocked out before, Alantas Fox, this, that, and the other, right? But Alantas Fox was the only one who would man up to fight him. So, you have, of course, like the racist fan base being the what we call Denejo in my language, and you can guess what that is: Denejo or Tubak. It's either you can either use Denejo or Tubak. So you have the Denejo, right, and then you have the Mexicans as well. Now, of course, they dislike Cubans because of what Cubans do to them typically, and most of the time Cubans do embarrass them. When it comes to boxing, they box circles around them. We remember what David Morrell did to that guy Casares. I think he ended him in one round. And they accused him of rabbit punching and all types of things. Meaning that, because he demolished them, they couldn't take their L. And you even had commentators who were actually critical of David Morrell. And David Morrell himself even said, oh, they don't like me because I'm a Cuban. These were his words. So, we're not surprised that this comes from them, But about David Morrell, being that he's a Negro League fighter, people don't really talk about him that much. People don't really mention him. So to say, the media doesn't really mention him either, despite the fact that, he's probably the best 168 pounder. And he even said, I'm the best 168 pounder. I just need to prove I'm the best 168 pounder. These were his words. But my question is, how can he prove it if you have people who are ducking fades? So, for example, they offered John Ryder the fight, okay? John Ryder, they said that, arguably that he beat Callum Smith. These were their words. They said, yeah, man, John Ryder, he won that fight against Callum Smith. These were the words of most boxing pundits, right? So, David Morrell, he was supposed to fight him. For whatever reason, David Morrell, he said that he declined the fight. Okay. So, fast forward, David Morrell, he fights Alantas Fox, and I think he dispatches him in 4 rounds. And now it has come to my attention. I did not know this, but it has come to my attention that John Ryder will be fighting Daniel Jacobs on February 12th in London. So I say to myself, well, I mean, what good is fighting Daniel Jacobs going to do for him? When, David Morrell, he holds, I guess you can say, a piece of that WBA belt. I don't know how they do these things, man. These alphabet soup belts, don't even ask me about it. They get very confusing. At the end of the day, they get hella confusing. You're like, well, what the hell, right? So, David Morrell, he holds part of the alphabet soup belt, okay, of the WBA. So my question is this: why wouldn't John Ryder fight him for a alphabet soup belt, which would put him in position to get his biggest payday that he's ever gotten before? Because we know Canelo, Canelo will fight the mandatory when it is convenient and when the mandatory poses no threat. We know the patterns of Canelo. I personally still don't believe that he's going to fight Jamal Charlo. I think it's smokes and mirrors. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when papers are signed. Okay? I still don't believe it personally. But, that's neither here nor there. But at the same time, we know the pattern of Canelo. Assalamu alaikum. How you doing?
I can't complain, my brother.
That's good. That's good.
I take life as it comes.
Exactly.
That's all I can do.
Exactly.
Deal with the problems, deal with everything else that comes with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we can do. Yeah.
I don't look for nothing to be fantastic. I don't look for nothing to be too bad.
There's a saying, expect the best but prepare for the worst.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. So, exactly. So, with this being said, Canelo, we know Canelo's pattern. We know that Canelo, he, like, we know what he does. Okay? Adrian Yildirim was just a convenience, quote unquote, mandatory. Guarantee you, if, like, let's just say David Morrell was his mandatory at the time, Canelo wouldn't fight him. So I say this all to say that why wouldn't John Ryder fight David Morrell, who would put him in position to get the Canelo fight? Because Canelo would fight John Ryder. He would. Because it would be another Euro tour, and his fans will excuse it as well. His fans will be like, oh, well, it's just mandatory, man. You just hating. You just a racist. Okay, if calling Canelo out on his bullshit makes me racist, I'm a racist. And I'm damn proud of it. Deal with it, okay? And if you want to deal with it, come to my gym in Hawthorne, California. I'll show you. I'll let you express yourself. But anyhow, back to David Morrell. So what now is David Morrell left to do? He's actually expressed the interest in wanting to fight David Benavidez. He's expressed the interest in wanting to fight Caleb Plant. Okay? The problem is they haven't expressed that interest back. That's the issue. So, now there's talks about Jamal Charlo going up to 168 to fight Caleb Plant as well. Caleb Plant has said that it's easy work, But at the same time, Caleb Plant could get back into the mix because he actually said, I'll be champion again. David Morrell holds a piece of the puzzle, right? So if Caleb Plant were to fight David Morrell, that will put him in prime position to maybe get a rematch with Canelo, or it will put him in prime position to get some more of those straps if Canelo drops the belts, right? But it seems like there's no energy to do that. The unfortunate thing is none of these 168 pounders have mentioned his name. None of them have mentioned David Morrell's name. So, with that being said, since David Morrell has his membership into the Negro League Boxing Club, he's had his membership into the club, you know, and a little bit of history about Cuba. Nationality wise, you can be a Cuban, but you can be of a different ethnicity. You have like black Cubans, you know, who are jet black, who look like they're straight from Senegal. You have mulatto Cubans, who David Morrell falls under, who look like they could be from, like, you know, Cabo Verde or something like that. Then you have like mestizo Cubans who, you know, look like kind of like an indigenous Middle Eastern mix. And then you have Blanco Cubans who look European, but that's neither here nor there. So with that being said, as I said about Devin Haney, as I said about like other fighters who are in this predicament, who the media will not say anything about, who like ESPN, the Zone, will be reluctant in mentioning and putting as prospects, that that his best thing to do is to move to 175. You know, shout out to the person who came to my David Morrell video and said, how would he hang at 175? I don't think he would really have any issues at 175. And the reason being, he would be the most athletically gifted 175. And I would say he would be the best boxer at 175 as well. You know what I mean? I think that he would be able to hang with the likes of all of those 175 pounders. I think the one who maybe gives him the problem the most, just because of the power, is, you know, Beterbiev. You know, I think that may give him an issue because of the power. But the thing is, you know, David Morrell is faster than Beterbiev. You know what I mean? So I think that David Morrell could weather that storm. Bivol, you know, who is a boxer, who is skillful, who puts combinations together, who selects his shots very well. But David Morrell's a better boxer, you know what I mean, like by far, you know, and I'm sorry to say, David Morrell is very faster than Bivol. And I mess with Bivol. Bivol, if anything, is my favorite 175 pounder, you know what I mean? So he hangs with him and outboxes him, you know what I mean? So then you move to, let's say you move to, what's his name? What is his name? Joe Smith. You know Joe Smith, rough and rugged fighter, right? And I think David Morrell walks through that dude because he will cater right to what David Morrell likes to do. You know, despite David Morrell being a very, very skillful boxer, that dude likes to fight too. You know, he turns it on. So if Joe Smith Jr. were to engage with David Morrell, guess what? He would get what he was asking for. You know what I mean? So with this all being said, I think that's his best bet to do. I think he will have a chance at the shots at the strap, because with the way it looks like now, David Benavidez is set on waiting for Canelo to you know, offer him a fight, which he is not going to offer him a fight. You know, David Morrell has said that, or David Benavidez has said that, oh, well, if Canelo's not going to fight him, he should drop the belts, right? So with that being said, you know, David Benavidez is going to stick around at 168, barely making 168. And, you know, that's what's just going to happen. Now, another fighter that I think is not as skilled as David Morrell and will probably meet the same fate as David Morrell's last opponents, because David Morrell will break him down, is Zurdo Ramirez. You know, don't get it twisted. Zurdo Ramirez is very skilled. We saw his last fight. You know, he did a good job. He weathered adversity and things like that. But still, at the same time, I don't think he can hang with David Morrell. You know what I mean? There's certain fighters who can just do it all and who have just different styles that they can bring to the fighting game. And these fighters, you know, when you look at them, it's like, okay, well, what do these other dudes have for them? You know what I mean? And I'm going to end this video on this note. You know, a lot of these would-be boxing fans, you know, they always say the same thing. They say it about Jeriah Ennis. They say it about Demetrius Andrade. They say it about Devin Haney. They say the same thing. Oh, well, who has he fought? He hasn't fought anybody. He hasn't fought like elite opposition. Okay, well, again, I ask, what elite opposition want to fight him? Please let me know. Yeah, a little meeting. But yeah, like I'm just asking, like, okay, so what elite opposition wants to fight him? Okay. You guys let me know in the comment section. You let me know if David Morrell will sign a contract, or David Benavidez will sign a contract to fight David Morrell, when David Benavidez's trainer / father said, oh, we'll fight him 5 fights down the line. What does that sound like to you? Don't get it twisted. I mess with David Benavidez, but I mean, when you have the energy for Canelo, and you don't have the same energy for David Morrell Jr., I have to call it how I see it. Because at the end of the day, David Morrell, I'm gonna just be real, he can do everything Benavidez does, but more compact and more crisp, you know? So, you know, inshallah, what's gonna happen on this channel, we're going to have David Morrell come on the channel, and we're gonna have other pros who are Negro League fighters come on the channel. You know, I might as well change my channel to Negro League Boxing channel, because I cover them more, because nobody else covers them. Okay? Nobody else really covers them in the mainstream media. So like the fans won't know, okay, these dudes are exciting fighters, because they don't know about them. But anyhow, man, that's all I got for now. Leave your thoughts and leave your comments. Fool is signing out. And jot on.